Hello everyone, welcome to Sunya IAS and welcome to this lecture. Today's lecture is very important, a topic which many people would just skim through because it is something very new. It seems to be something very boring. But don't worry about it. अगर आपने इस वीडियो पे क्लिक किया है, I'll make sure that this topic does not remain boring for you. That is one. And second is that you can go ahead and talk about this topic to anyone who you want to explain it to. ठीक है? यूपीएससी प्रिपरेशन हमेशा बात करके अपनी आइडियाज को डिस्कस करके जितनी अच्छी होती है उतनी सिर्फ एक ही चीज को या अलग अलग चीजों को पढ़ के नहीं हो सकती है. Teaching is the highest form of learning, they say. So whenever you see a topic like this, mineral security partnership, यूपीएससी एस्पिरेंट्स का एक नजरिया इसको लेकर ये होता है कि विल जस्ट आर्टिफिशियली रीड इट. इसमें से कुछ आया तो वैसे भी हम अच्छा तो परफॉर्म कर नहीं पाएंगे, तो वी जस्ट फॉर्मेलिटी कर देते हैं. बट प्लीज मेक श्योर दैट यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट दिस हैज एन इम्पैक्ट ऑन यू एज वेल. The mineral security partnership. Now, forget everything else, start with a blank slate. First of all, this topic has relevance for two papers. One is GS2 in IR, of course, that is there. A separate question is pretty difficult from this small a topic, but if you get a question on India-US relations, if you get a question on changing world order, if you get a question on steps being taken to reduce China's hegemony, you can use this. So one is GS2. One is GS3 also. So in GS3, you have a specific topic of minerals. The mineral wealth. You talk about the mineral wealth. And critical minerals have been gaining a lot of currency in the sense that they are gaining a lot of relevance in conversations. Why? Because of the definition of critical minerals itself. Now, mineral security partnership, what is it? It is a US-led initiative, first of all. And please have it in mind that whenever USA does initiate something very strongly, it has two adversaries in mind. Either the adversary can be Russia or the adversary can be China. Okay, this is a fact about USA. So for example, NATO was initiated by US to counter USSR, led by Russia at that time. This one, the Mineral Security Partnership, has been created to reduce the overarching dominance of China on critical minerals. So, if I talk about the Mineral Security Partnership, it is an organization, it is a framework that has been created to ensure that the supply chain of critical minerals, there are two words, the supply chain of critical minerals is not disrupted. Okay? And these critical minerals are produced, processed and recycled. They are produced, processed and recycled in the most efficient and sustainable manner to sustainably maximize the economic return out of them. Sustainably maximize. Okay? Now comes the question, what are critical minerals? So, the definition of critical minerals has two aspects to it. One is that their supply chain is very fragile. What does this mean? That because these minerals are not widely available, or because these minerals are concentrated in a particular area, in some particular countries, and they are very important for emerging technologies. So their supply chains are very fragile. है ना? So रशिया यूक्रेन वॉर हो गया, क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स की सप्लाई चेन हट जाएगी. एंड यूएसए ने कोई पॉलिसी निकाल दी, क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स का वो जो डोमिनेंस है वो हट जाएगा, जो एक क्लियर रास्ता है क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स का ग्लोबल ट्रेड में, वो हट जाएगा. Second and the most important thing is that they are crucial for emerging technologies. They are crucial for emerging technologies. So please understand that critical minerals are necessarily not rare minerals or rare earth elements. It is not necessary that critical minerals will be scarce in nature. Their supply chain can be fragile, है ना? But it does not mean they are scarce in nature. So to give you an example, cobalt is also a critical mineral. Fine. Copper is also a critical mineral. These are not scarce, है ना? इंडिया में भी बहुत copper available है. So these minerals are having overarching value in the technologies that are emerging. Now, why has USA initiated this mineral security partnership? Very clear reason is that currently China produces 70% of critical minerals. This is the primary reason, actually more than 70%. Sometimes the data is also given in various places as 97%. It is not 97%, it is 70, more than 70% of the critical minerals are produced by China. Does not mean that China has more than 70% reserves. Okay. China does not have more than 70% reserves, but China imports the raw materials, processes it and produces it. So for example, even if we talk about semiconductors have many important critical minerals in them. Even if we talk about solar cells, they have many important critical minerals in them. So for example, two are silicon. You must have heard about silicon. And another one is indium. Another one is indium. ठीक है. Then another one is gallium. Why do you need to remember these names? So that you can mention 2 to 3 examples. That's it. Okay. For prelims, some or the other name might come up. But does that mean you have to remember all the critical minerals and what they do? No, not at all. That's the worst kind of effort you will do. आएगा तो एक question आएगा, वो भी इतना डिटेल में आएगा नहीं, और अगर वो ज्यादा डिटेल में आएगा तो वो कोई भी सॉल्व नहीं कर पाएगा. So your efforts will go in vain. तो इसको पॉइंट को समझो. This is an article in Down to Earth, and Down to Earth talks about environmental issues, है ना? Why have they covered this? Primarily they cover environmental issues. Somewhere or the other it is related to environment. Why have they covered this mineral security partnership? What do you think? They have covered this because these critical minerals are very important in creating clean energy. Just now I talked about solar panels. What is solar energy? What is solar panel? A device which harnesses solar energy, right? So that's why Down to Earth has covered it. India joins the critical minerals club. Here's why this is important. So India joins when it was created in 2022 by Joe Biden led US government. India was not a part of this initiative since the beginning. This is a very important fact that you need to have in mind, and this can come in your prelims. Okay? Mineral security partnership did not have India as a partner since the beginning. In fact, एक बार इसका expansion और भी हो चुका था when Italy was included. Fine. उस टाइम पे इंडिया को include नहीं किया दोबारा से. In the next expansion, which has happened in 2023, India was included. Clear हो गई बात? Who are the partners? This is also important. This is not important for mains. Okay, don't write it in mains. This देखो कभी भी कोई भी ऐसी इंफॉर्मेशन मेंस में मत लिखो जो कि फ्यूटाइल है, जो आपके आंसर में कोई वैल्यू ऐड नहीं कर रही, विच इज नॉट एडिंग एनी वैल्यू टू योर आंसर. even if you tell the examiner that you know all the members, what are you telling the examiner about yourself? That you're good at remembering names. So what? That's not the quality that they're looking for. They're looking for the impact. Fine. So you can just mention that India was inducted in the Mineral Security Partnership in 2023. But otherwise, there's Australia, there's Canada, there's Finland, there's France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Republic of Korea, that is South Korea, Norway, Sweden, UK, US, and the EU. So if you see the area of South Asia and Southeast Asia, which is the one of the most densely populated areas in the world, India is the only member who has been inducted. Fine. There is no other member as such. So that means India being admitted to it is a leap forward for India that way. And it's a good thing to add to a good feather to add to our cap that way. What is their goal? Clean energy is our future, and building the tech will require critical minerals. We are working to bolster supply chains to ensure a more sustainable future. Now, this is because they could not directly write that we don't want that China takes away all the revenue from the critical minerals. That is why this we are creating. The real reason is the dominance of China. ठीक है? अब इसकी इम्पोर्टेंस 3 ब्रॉड हेडिंग्स में आपको लिखनी है. चाहे तो आप 3 ब्रॉड हेडिंग्स में लिख सकते हैं, चाहे तो आप 4-5 पॉइंट्स एज इट इज लिख सकते हैं, क्योंकि बहुत कम चांस है, अगेन आई एम टेलिंग यू, दैट सेपरेट क्वेश्चन विल बी आस्क्ड. So EV transmission, now that we are heading towards electronic vehicles, and we also talked about the vehicle scrappage policy earlier. So there is no way that these critical minerals will not be important. ठीक है? Okay. Hydrogen based technology also, critical minerals will be required. So the next step after atomic energy, after nuclear energy, is hydrogen energy. If you would have seen the movie Oppenheimer, you would have known that after developing the atom bomb, the US authorities were going towards developing the hydrogen bomb, but Oppenheimer and the scientists who were involved in there, they said and they put their foot down that a hydrogen bomb would be much more lethal than this atomic bomb that you have just used. Fine. So they did not go for hydrogen bomb. But hydrogen based technology is very important. You must be knowing about ITER, the tokamak, which is the artificial sun, the experiment of creating an artificial sun which is running. So even in these kind of experiments, critical minerals are very important. Then renewable infrastructure, we talked about the solar panels. Increasing demand of critical minerals. Why? Because the demand for EVs is increasing. Demand for smartphone is also increasing. Demand for smartphones is also increasing. Then this is very important, that if there is a supply chain resilience in the supply of this critical minerals, there will be predictability. And when there is predictability, there is lesser chance for conflict. Lesser chance for conflict. When do human beings fight between each other? For resources. When they think that resources are scarce in nature. When there is a feeling that resources are scarce. If at one point of time, land as a resource did not have much value because it was not scarce. Population was so less that land was more than enough. Today, for land, you see so many fights happening, right? So think on similar lines, that critical minerals are not very common also. They are having fragile supply chains, and if this kind of an initiative like the Mineral Security Partnership is created, which it has been created now, it will boost predictability, it will reduce the chances of conflict. ठीक है? Help us in achieving sustainable development goals, right? Clean energy goals overall, it'll help. Then strategically helping secure the supply chains. Primarily, this is the reason. Chinese dependence would be reduced. More than 70% critical minerals are produced in China right now. Converging global needs. What is the global need of clean energy? Then it's a technology for future, right? It is something which is a technology for future, the EVs, the everything that is created by the critical minerals. Simplifying the supply chain and multi-stakeholdership. So eventually, it is not just the government bodies, right? The government bodies will collaborate with the private organizations and make sure that these critical minerals are not used as a weapon. So for example, right now, if we talk about the chip war, what is the chip war about? That overarching availability of these semiconductors and microchips is with Taiwan and China. And although Taiwan and China are both adversaries as of today, Taiwan does not recognize China as its sovereign. The Taiwanese people recognize themselves as sovereign people. They do not recognize the overlordship of China. Let's say they get into a fight with each other, and China-Taiwan conflict is on the cards. Like, it can happen anytime that way. And anytime means in the next 5 to 10 years, anytime, right? If that happens, the entire world will suffer. You and I will suffer. This mic that I'm using has critical minerals. This board has critical minerals. Your device has critical minerals. Everything that is being used today has critical minerals. And there is no way that anyone will be spared from the impact that this scarcity will create. Fine. Reducing China's role and achieving India's climate targets also. The mineral security partnership will help. Now, of course, there are multiple challenges over here. See, again, this kind of organization has an anti-China element to it. And it's easy to say that we will create a proper supply chain for critical minerals, but there is no proper roadmap to actually do it. Like, there are no set targets, there are no rigid targets that need to be achieved. And till the time there are no rigid targets, it is very difficult that they will be achieved. Then Chinese dominance. Till date, we have not been able to overpower China in a commodity such as plastic. We as in the entire world. China still dominates in the manufacturing of plastic, in the export of plastic. Without a concrete roadmap, how are we even thinking that China will be able to be beaten by us? No matter it has EU, no matter this partnership has US, it has India, doesn't matter. We have not been able to beat China in plastics. How will we beat China in critical minerals, which are much more profitable that way? Then there are larger economic rivalries when we talk about the critical minerals. And if, let's say, because I told you that within Asia, only within South Asia at least, only India is a member, and India shares a border with China. And this USA knows this very well, actually. Okay. So if China gets antagonized on this mineral security partnership, then IPEF, all these organizations, who will bear the brunt? China will deploy more battalions on the McMahon line, the Indo-China border, the LAC, and we will bear the brunt. So this is a problem for us. Fine. Then overall issues of developing nations. A lot of these critical minerals are imported. The raw materials are imported from African and Latin American countries, wherein they are extracted in a very inhuman manner. Okay. Hence, it is important that the concerns of the countries from which these minerals are being imported are also taken into account. Fine. And like it happened in the industrial times, in the industrial times, the fight was for raw materials like spices, like cotton, etc. है ना, pre-industrial revolution time, and actually just after industrial revolution, है ना, in the 18th century, the fight was for raw materials. So it started off in Europe as a very democratic way that, okay, Portugal will go this way, Spain will go this way, Netherlands will go this way, Britain will go this way. But eventually what happened? Eventually Britain killed all the other people, all the other countries that way, and it created an empire which spanned the entire world. What is the guarantee that USA will not create a monopoly? Because there is no clear roadmap. There is no way to know whether USA is just trying to, जिसे कहते हैं ना, इकट्ठा करना. यूएसए सिर्फ इकट्ठा कर रहा है कंट्रीज को so that China can be reduced, and as soon as China is eliminated out of the system, USA will make use of all the supply chains created by this mineral security partnership and keep on accumulating the critical minerals. That is a problem. And USA has that tendency. USA has done that earlier with oil. Okay? USA has done that earlier with oil, and now that critical minerals have gained this kind of importance, USA will do it here as well. What are the issues? Earlier issue was exclusion. India has been admitted later. That in itself was a message that India is not that crucial for this membership. So that was an issue. The skills that are needed to manufacture and to produce these critical minerals, they are not something that are very widely available in a country like India, right? So that is an issue. And critical minerals and the critical needs created because of them, India has no way to ensure that its needs, being the most populous country, India has no way to ensure that its needs will be fulfilled. Fine. So that is there. But overall, this initiative as such does not have a lot of negative connotations to it, because it is a very forward-looking step, if you think about it. It's a very forward-looking step because it is said that India is already late to the lithium growth story. है ना? Some hints of lithium deposits have been found in Jammu Kashmir, and research and everything is going on. But India is very late to this lithium game and this critical minerals game. So overall, it's a blessing in disguise for us that we are a part of it. So what should be the way forward? India, through this production linked incentive, through the Make in India aspect, should start focusing on the critical minerals and the products created out of critical minerals. So solar modules creation, solar panel creation, and semiconductor creation, it is not that difficult. And now that we are focusing on Make in India, it is not that difficult at all. So processing has to be improved, skill development according to the needs has to be done, and this is India specific. Human resource augmentation according to the needs has to be done. Developing world has to be involved. So as you can see, the critical mineral partnership led by the US, UK is also there, EU is also there, Scandinavian countries are there. It's an organization of the developed world, to be very frank. Okay. So that needs to be sorted out. Okay. And augmenting state mechanisms, there needs to be a very clear roadmap on how this initiative is going to proceed forward, because in the absence of such a roadmap, this can transition from a supply chain resilience initiative to a very US-led and US-dominated monopoly of critical minerals. So that should not happen. So now we are at the end of this lecture, when you have to use these facts that I have just told you. How will you use them? If you get a question separately, you will of course write all the facts that I have told you. But otherwise, as I told you in the beginning, if you get a question on India-US relations, if you get a question on clean energy and the steps taken for clean energy, the mineral security partnership is something that you must write over there, that this is what the global economy is doing. And if you get a question on what are the steps to counter China that are being taken, mineral security partnership is something that you must write. Fine. So that is all for today's class. I hope you enjoyed the class and gained something out of it. Since you guys have been asking for the PDFs, this is the channel, Sunya IAS channel. You can go here and look for the PDFs. Otherwise, you can just order the books that Sunya IAS releases. We have books for all the 4 GS papers. Whichever book you need or you need all the 4, do order. And all these articles are over there. Fine, I will see you all in the next lecture. Thank you so much.